That's it, Chris. Finally got it. Starting to record.
Aye.
So if you introduce yourself now.
All right. Hi guys. My name's Chris, or as my profile is known as Cecil McIvan, aka the DJ. Well, not DJ, but producer, music producer, amateur mixing engineer on high ground with my good old friend.
Just so everybody's got a bit of back knowledge, we first met in first year, almost 2003 it would have been, wouldn't it? So that would have been
Oh, don't do the calculation. It's too long, mate. It's too long. I don't want to identify how old we are, mate.
the maths has failed me tonight. 2003 would have been, Jesus, how long was it?
It's what?
17 years ago.
Really? I
Aye,
was
we're,
I
we're,
17,
we're really old.
I
Eh,
17 years ago.
Actually, we first met 17 years. Our eyes glimpsed across the class at each other.
Do you remember what class it was?
Oh man, I don't have a
It was
Scooby, do you?
it was art class.
That was it.
It was art class that was the most fun class ever to be in. Ah,
Especially with Mr. McAteer.
and definitely with Mr. McAteer. I remember just man, it was. I remember he used to always try and really help, overly help us, but it didn't actually help us at all.
See, I didn't get no help. He just left me alone. Like he just kind of went, "You okay, Barry?" And I'm like, "I'm fine." He just left me alone. Never really annoyed me or nothing.
Aye, but the thing with you, Barry, obviously, like he would normally try and talk to you, but you'd be like so silent at the time before obviously 17 years later you're no longer as silent, but you are quiet, you're quieter than a church mouse. You know that, right?
I like because I didn't like anybody about school. School was the worst thing ever. It was boring. It was easy. There was nothing going on. Everybody was just kind of looking at playing football and stuff that wasn't interested in, or drinking, which I wasn't interested in. I wanted to go to
Uh,
the gym, wrestle, and draw.
and hustle, you know.
People were just like stuck, and well, where some people are still stuck to this day with
That's
their usual. Oh, I'm just going to stay in my normal kind of school routine with a normal 9 to 5 job for the rest of their life.
mm,
So
I know I realized that quite late, to be honest. But going back to the football thing quickly, you probably know, the reason for that, because that was what I used to do, and I was quite serious about that for some time. Do you remember?
that wasn't a dig, by the way, man.
No, I know it
Just in
wasn't.
case you feel like, I love football, and you're just shouting at me.
No, no, it wasn't a dig. I was just wanted to make it quite clear, for the listeners that, that was something I was really deadly serious about before, obviously realizing that in Scotland, the football is not the best. It's not the best place to try and play your football, because not many people, as you probably know, actually care as much about playing football properly.
The worst thing in Scotland is you get overcritical coaches, and
Oh,
that means that people can't play football to the best of their ability because everything they try and make everything perfect, but making it perfect means it makes it bad
mm,
because you don't
they
get those like fumble plays that end up turning into something great.
I you never I remember I never used to be allowed to try something new, and I think that's kind of it kind of leads me into the music kind of topic as well, because with in football, when you're kind of like around a lot of coaches who are wanting to, they want to help, but like you said, they don't allow you, they overdo it in a way, and when you try to make little creative kind of moves or whatever, they're too critical of it, and it kind of discourages you in a way. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, but I think they don't want you to have any fun. They don't.
Exactly.
You don't want to just go out there, go out there and kick a ball and just have fun because that's where you learn, especially with any kind of sport like football or music or
I know
even
that.
running your own business. You need to make mistakes. You need to have fun to learn the
No,
best way to get forward.
no, definitely. And that was one of the things that what, the reasons why I thought, forget, it's kind of like demonstrate to these, in a kind of team environment where you kind of need to rely on everyone, but everyone is at the same time not pulling their weight. And I guess in a way, I kind of felt like after I remember this is a good example, Barry. I remember when I was at this old team of mine, right? And and I had left the guys for like a year or two. Like I told them to fuck off. Like I got pissed off with them because they weren't pulling their weights when we were playing together, and I got frustrated because I was working hard to kind of like get back to full fitness to help the team, and none of them was actually making any effort at all. And I came back 2 years later, and I mean 2 years later, 24 months later. I came back, right, and I hadn't played much football or I hadn't done any training, and I felt as if I left I left the guys exactly where I found them where exactly I left them 2 years ago. They had made no progress. That was the moment I decided, what, I'm gonna quit football for good, because if I was gonna go back, I was coming home, after work or whatever else, I would work like I'll do some gym session, work hard, like completely devote myself to make sure I can be as physically fit and ready to help the team come Sunday, because obviously we played mostly Sunday leagues. And I just got so frustrated. There was this one match. The manager was such an idiot as well. He didn't even know the right team to pick, the right players, the right way to coach the team, and even creativity. He didn't have any. So I thought, you know what, let me just. And I got like that game. I got injured. I kind of picked up a light knock. I could have felt as if I could have continued playing, but after seeing the manager not listening to not even just what I had to say, but he wasn't listening to any of the other advice from the team, and we were losing devastatingly. And I thought I just walked off the pitch. This was like just before half time. I walked off the pitch and never came back. I never went back. And ever since, and ever since then, that was it. I just got tired of it, and I thought, you know what, I need to have more control of my life, and you know spend less time with around guys who are not willing to put in an effort, even for something as simple as playing football and keeping themselves slightly fit. And but at least have that competitive edge, like wanting to win a game. I never go into a game, but without wanting to not win it. you know and that's the kind of mentality I like to have around me. And I figured I might as well get into something I can have a bit more control over.
I mean, that's the worst thing I think about, see, with like team sports as well. Like,
Uh-huh.
people just don't pull their weight. But going back to like when we were at school, see some of the people that I've spoke to people that I went to school with, well, me and you both went to school with now,
Uh-huh.
and they're still in that kind of just plodding along, not pulling their weight. I like to
Uh-huh.
surround myself with people that have ambitions, like would rather try and set up a business or try something, even if they fail, and at
Yeah.
the age of 45 go back and work in a call centre. I would rather surround myself with those people because they're not scared to try and they're always going to keep pushing the barrier, instead of
I,
from somebody who leaves school, goes to college, gets a job and stays there till they're 65, 75 and dies, which I hate.
I'm with you, bud. I since you mentioned call center as well, I remember I was working. I mentioned to you, didn't I? I was working at the call center for a while,
Yeah,
and and honestly, like I could like the money was good. I mean, obviously being in Scotland, anything over 1,500 a month is really good. You're doing okay. You can pay bills, you can have some free time, if that is your thing. But I realized right away, like after I think I was there for like 3 or 4 months. After that period of time, I thought, nah, I don't see myself being here, because for one, it was the whole environment felt too comfortable, and too comfortable is something I don't like the word. I don't like that particular terminology, because when it's too comfortable, it's quite easy to just forget about kind of, it's easy to forget that you're on someone's paycheck, like someone's actually paying you instead of you, you earning the money, like the in a way where you can always progress, instead of having to rely on someone paying you constantly through the process of, obviously, what I'm trying to say is basically I'd rather not have to be working for someone, and realizing that at any moment, if they feel like, for whatever reason, they feel like not paying me, or decide to, they no longer need my services, my job is gone and I have no other income, and I got too comfortable in this one area.
But it's one of especially it's the same kind of thing as school, college, uni. It's the same comfortable surround yourself with. You get your team that you have to speak to. You end up going to maybe nights out with them as well, just like in school. You have a schedule. You have like you're going to your Friday night or your Saturday night is your big night out. You get paid every month, and it's just that same kind of schedule that never changes,
And
consistent every single year.
and
And
never and
humans love stability, but that's the problem with like a human being. Any animal loves being comfortable, stable, and knowing what's going to happen in the future. So
mhm.
that's the people want to know what happens for. So we're 29 this year, 30 next year. We would still have another. So see, you got a job this year, right?
Mm,
You would still have another 40 years before you retire.
mhm.
45 years before you retire. Like that's disgusting.
That
If
is.
you went to a job for 45 whole years, imagine what you could do with your music if you just dedicated yourself for 45 years. Even
Mhm.
if it took the whole 45 years, eventually you will get good enough to be, to win.
I know, but see, the thing is as well, and I remember, see, like just before we came on, well, not just before, a few hours ago, when I was doing some stuff online, and I came across this Andy Warhol quote, where I'm gonna paraphrase because I don't remember exactly word for word, but basically he says, I think he said the idea is not to live forever, but to create something that does, and I love little quotes like that, and normally I see on your private accounts, I see you post kind of those similar quotes as well, and I love them because that particular quote reminds me of the fact that it's not about, us humans don't live forever, and if you're spending all your time in a job where, again, obviously using the cliche term of computers replacing people, but if you spend your time 40 years or so doing things that can be easily replaced, then you'll never live forever. You're gonna, and your memory will only just vanish as soon as you pass on. Whereas if you do things that, obviously, business, whatever, eventually you write a book or whatever, that becomes your kind of legacy in a way. You transcend it beyond just being a 9 to 5 worker. You actually live on.
Yeah, man, I love obviously you're saying about the quotes that I do, so I love all that kind of motivation quotes and stuff like that because it's something that I really think people should pay attention to more. And a lot of people that I've seen do it just post a quote because it sounds good.
Hmm.
But with every single quote I post, I have a story behind it as well. Like I read something that I've took from it. So I
Hmm.
know you were saying Andy Warhol there. So one of his favourite quotes is, well, I've got two of his favourite quotes. The first one is, I think it's, the idea of waiting for something makes it more exciting.
Hmm.
So like that's like waiting. You have to be patient to have a business or to get into music or to follow your passion. So it's that patient, that waiting game before it actually happens is what's the exciting part.
Hmm.
And then his second one that I love is people should fall in love with their eyes closed. The reason I love that one is that it's not about people, like obviously it's about a person, but not about two people falling in love. It's about if somebody was to come to you and go, you're going to work 9 to 5 for the rest of your life, and this is what I'm going to pay you, or you're going to work whatever hours you feel like. You'll probably work more than 9 to 5. The pay will go up and down, but you'll be doing something that you'll love every single day. You're going
Hmm.
to go, well, I'll do what I love instead of working for somebody else that I kind of hate.
Aye.
It's the changing because your whole life you're set up to believe that you have to get a job,
Hmm.
and the only way to get out is to be extremely talented at something. Like,
basically.
yeah, I would say that I'm not talented at anything, but a Will Smith quote that I always use is, if me and you were on a treadmill, like
Mm.
you're better at running and stuff like that than me. I won't get off that till I drop down dead. That's how much I want to win at everything I do in my life, and that's what I take into teaching my kids. Like we were saying before we came on, that's what I take into if I'm in a business meeting. If I know I'm the best person at everything, if you give me a topic to go do, I'll go get it done better than anybody else because I'll research that topic further than anybody will ever get into it.
Mm.
Mostly because I'm fucking weird, but also because I just want to like I want to succeed in everything that I do. I want to be remembered as a legacy to remember to be part of. So like my kids are going to remember me instead of from like if you want to say who's my great granddad, I've never met him, so I wouldn't be able to tell you his name.
Mm.
But I want my name and my legacy to live on. Like I want to have leave something behind instead of from just he worked 9 to 5 till he was 75, and then he died when he was 80. So you got 5 years of freedom.
uh, oh, definitely,
Every,
man.
also, man, talking about football, there's a gentleman that I know who I knew. Well, I met him when I was in primary school, so primary seven.
Mm.
Um, I was in Holland and became good pals, and I met him a few years later. And he's like, "I'm trying to be a football player." And I was like, "How's it going?" So I was like, probably about 17 when I met him. When he was telling me he was trying to be a football player, and I met him 2 weeks ago,
Mm.
and he just got signed for a good football team, but he
Uh,
turned it down because he's kind of set up his own kind of little football club, and he's like, I would rather have my football club because it's getting better. He's actually got lots of people that want to play with him. He's got
mm.
into a league. He's like, I'd rather have my football club to leave a legacy than me just be a player that people forget about in 100 years.
Mm. That's true. That's very. That is, yeah. That's quite inspiring, to be honest.
But see, he does it. He started he first kind of he's got three parts to his club. The first one is just for like kids, like young age kind of people, just to get off the street and go do something.
Mm.
His second part is when it's like kind of amateur, but then he's also got his professional side. So he's got people that actually play in like a real league, and he loves it. He's got everything's kind of going for him. Obviously, the things that's going on just now has caused a little bit of issue financially, but he's like it's great. He's like I would never get over it. Plus, it looks like his football team's going to be there for say like another 100, 200 years, and people are going to look back and remember who started it, and it'd be him.
It really is quite inspiring, and that's something. See, before you in long before you told me about the fact that you were a born hustler, so to speak, because you were hustling since we were in primary school. I was in art class, and you're telling me you were hustling, and coming in, falling asleep, and I was wondering, what does this guy do all the time when he comes into art class, and he seems so tired. But what I'm trying to say is, you've known about this kind of stuff for a long time, a lot longer than I have, and what I'm starting to wonder is, when I look at around the people, my family, friends, um, and I look at them, and and I think to myself, am I crazy for wanting to basically try and create a sort of a royalty type method of living my life in terms of being able to leave a legacy? Because it's, instead of, I see all of those people I've mentioned, I see them all always telling me, "Oh, you have a job. When are you planning on getting a job? Here's a job at the NHS. Here's a job at the the call center. Here's a job at so and so." And they never seem to get the idea that, like this guy you told me about, the football player who's deciding to go the opposite direction, instead of playing, where yes, you're going to earn a lot of money, but eventually, like he's noticed, it's like it's gonna, that's gonna come to an end. He's gonna get, like, obviously I'm not wishing anyone any bad luck here, but but um he could have, at least, he might have got an injury, like a severe injury that would have ended his career, and where would he be then? But with obviously his club, his that kind of aspect of it, he's able to live his life and be able to give other kids who really want to play football a chance. And it's something that, I don't see a lot of people, doing, not just obviously coming up with football clubs or whatever, but I mean, looking at finding other means of living their other ways of living life to the best of their ability, beyond relying on weekly or monthly kind of 9 to 5 jobs, and waking up the same kind of routine every day. And another thing I hate is when my mate, like some of the guys, Barry, so some of them ask me about, obviously, what am I doing this weekend or this next weekend, and basically so that we can all hang out or go, clubbing or whatever. And I'm like, that's like, we did that when we were 16. We're no longer 16. We've gone past that stage where we're thinking of going to clubs every single weekend, or moaning that it's a Wednesday or it's a Monday. That kind of stuff it's starting to do my head in now, when I hear some of my mates say that. But luckily, not all of them. And the ones who do, I've kind of like slowly cut ties, kind of, but
it's awkward when you have to do stuff like that, man. Like, you still need to speak to them and stuff like that, but it's like, I know I'm going to go in and have like this really negative conversation with you. It's like an effort, but like, I know what you're saying, that like for me it's like that. Obviously I don't really have any family anymore,
yeah.
so
Oh,
I've got nobody to be like, oh, like, you getting this job or that. Like, maybe my partner or my kids. Sometimes myself, I'm like, oh, I feel like I should get a normal job, especially when this forsaken virus came around.
what do you call it?
The forsaken virus. I like calling stuff sort of, because everybody's like, it's like now they're going like, don't go outside, try and stay in.
Aye.
And then you look out your window and there's people in the park. It's like, just stay in the house and calm down, man. It's like, you always moan for extra time to do nothing, and then you
Hey,
get time to do nothing and you want to do
go on,
something.
go on, yeah,
Just
yeah.
listen to what people are saying. But anyway, quite a lot of my clients I had to let go because their business was just closing down.
Mm.
So I was like, right, that's fine. I'm just going to let you go because they're going to be late with their payments and stuff like
Aye, that's a hard one, man.
that. So I was just like, I'll cut ties with them instead of from them having to try and cut ties with me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so pretty much was like, right, I'm going to cut ties with them before they cut ties with me. Some of them ended up just leaving as well, which makes it easier for me. So that's why I called it the Forsaken kind of Forsaken virus. But dealing with like at that point, I was like, should I get a normal job? Like, I'm getting like a lot less, and plus my agency charges really high.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, should I cut my price or should I get a normal job or something? I was like, no, like, I did the cheaper side of stuff. I've done the job. This is something that makes me happy every day, and I would do it for nothing. And then my partner was like, don't get a job. She's like, she's like, we're fine for money. Like, if she's like, I'll get a job. Well, she's got one, but she's like, I'll get another one if we need to. She's
Mm-hmm.
like, just you keep doing what you're doing. So like, having that support helps as well. But in your own mind, you just kind of need to be like, well, everybody else does the same thing that everybody else has always done. Only a few people do something different, and the few people are always correct. Like, you wouldn't get, for instance, Will Smith. He done something different than everybody else, and he got where he is. If you look at Kevin Hart, if you look at, Joe Rogan, Joey Diaz, a countless numbers of people that will tell you to do something different,
Mm-hmm.
but also don't feel shit about taking a normal job just to get by or to pay some
Aye, of
bills
course.
while you're trying to get to where you need to be, because everybody needs to take that shitty job every now and again to realise how shit the shitty job is. But
I it
I
it's
don't think, like, see, if you do those days that you're like, oh, like, am I insane for wanting something different than what these people want? But it's a lot of times they're just programmed to feel that, and they love that comfortability instead of from the stress of need to wake up in the morning and go make something happen by the end of the day.
oh, that reminds me, when I did when I left the like after 3 4 months in the call center job, I was itching. My body was physically itching to get the hell out of that place. I could not get there any quicker. As soon as I left, I had no idea what I was gonna do next. I just thought, let me just jump onto the taxi, and so I did that for like a year and a bit, and even that was a good gig because I mean, my intention with that was obviously I would end up just spending the time, the mornings or like I would spend some few hours. Basically, I had more control of my time, and I would spend the whatever time I could afford to spend off of the job and just play, work in the music, and then the other time I would spend obviously to kind of hustle and to kind of do however many hours I needed to do to make up the week's wages or whatever. Um, but it brought me along across the path of a lot of different people, as as taxi does. But there was this one guy, oh, this one passenger I picked up. He was he was one of those passengers who kind of gave me the motivation. Not in what not in what he was saying was a positive thing. He was saying to me simply, I started asking him. I said he was a chef, so I said to him, do you ever like have any ambition to maybe open up your own, your own small takeaway or whatever, even cook something in a house and then start selling it to your friends, like just get your own little business. He was like, nah, I'm too comfortable. I could never see myself going out on my own. I'm just too happy, too comfortable, just working for someone at, right now. Like, I don't see myself in the future. And this guy was in his 40s. He was like 20 years older than us, right? Than we are right now. And he just seemed way too comfortable and not seeing that what for him, that was his life. And like you said, some people are just programmed in that way. But for me, I said to him, like, yo, I could never see myself doing that. Even if I had to hustle, however way I could hustle, so long as I had my free time, in like obviously in air quotes, like in brackets, free time, so long as I had that time to focus on anything besides work, anything that I can do to do my own, to help establish my own kind of, small business, whether it's obviously music or any other thing, so long as I'm able to focus on something that is going to outlive me, that is something that I felt is something I had to do after leaving the taxi gig, and especially after hearing what that guy said to me. And I always replay that conversation in my head every time, especially when I feel as if I feel like there are times when I'm like, why am I even doing this? Like, why can't I just go and simply get, like you said, get a normal job, like a steady, comfortable 9 to 5 with good dental, good pension plan, good travel, whatever, all those beautiful things, all those beautiful lies they tell you. And I normally and then I just play that back and I say to myself, yeah, this is kind of why, this is why you don't, you want to keep going, because you don't want to be that guy who gets to a certain age where all he's saying is, I'm happy to work for someone else and make someone else have a better life for themselves than what I can get for myself if I put all the time, focus all my energies and time on me.
The sad thing is, man, even at that guy at 40, if he's still probably got like another 30 years of working for somebody else, maybe even 35. And if he put that 30, 35 years into put a 10 years away into putting money away, opened up his own restaurant at 50, then works hard till 60, he could probably just be a kind of investor in his own restaurant, have his own name out there, and be making not not great cash, but good money to just live the rest of his life out on.
I no, absolutely. I mean, enough for him to say to a taxi driver, to the next taxi driver he gets in his whose taxi he gets in his car, the back of his taxi of, and basically say to him, look, buddy, I was in your shoe, like blah blah blah. So I can say to you, yeah, like it's a good thing to at least have, even if you're working for someone else, at least have your own restaurant, or at least have your own little taxi business you're doing on the side, as well as working for someone else. But at least you have your own cars that you're maybe loan leasing out to people, just to be able to give someone that motivational kind of conversation and make him feel like make him feel that at any age, it doesn't matter if I'm 40 or 50 or 20 or 30, you're able to basically get yourself out there and live by on your own means instead of relying. And that's the word I hate, is just having to constantly rely. I'm not saying obviously when you're injured or something, like I mean this is a good part. This is a good part for you, Barry. Like times when you would come to school with a cast on either part of your legs or your arms, and you kind of you didn't rely on anyone to help you with the drawing. But my idea, what I'm trying to say is that if you're injured and you kind of have no choice but to rely on someone to support you, that's different. But when you're not sick, you're fully capable. You shouldn't, we should get out of that. I'm trying my best to make sure I'm getting out of the whole constantly needing to rely on a job, or like someone else paying, a manager or a boss paying me for my existence, and it kind of makes you feel, it makes you question a lot of things anyway, because the way society has been structured over time is that even if, for example, even when I tell my mom about the whole music and everything, they're constantly reminding me, oh, when are you gonna, at least kind of get a full-time job, or get this or get that? I'm like, that's not kind of what I want. I don't enjoy it, and it takes me back to the call center. She was saying to me, when when I left the call center, she was saying you should have at least, put some money aside, or at least stayed for like another 6 7 months. And I'm like, I could tell she didn't understand the reason why I left. But the main reasons I left were because I did not feel as if my health was being taken into consideration. And like I said, there was no way I was gonna see myself, living the next 10 or 20 years, because it was too comfortable, and you had no room for your own creativity or your own expression in a way. And all of those things combined made me realize that, yeah, I need to find something, just like what you just said there, a few conversations ago about your missus taking extra job to allow you to do the things that makes you happy, even if you have to take a less pay, take in less money. That kind of puts things into perspective for me, when I was doing that call center and hearing how my mom was telling me that, you've got to spend another 6 7 months in a job just so you can make some savings. And even though the job is probably going to kill you in those next 6 or 7 months, because literally, I'm not kidding when I tell you this, but that job for me was like the worst. Hell, is like that job is like it's like someone just giving you some serious health risk, putting you in a serious health health kind of compromising position.
Yeah, when I've worked in call centres before as well, it's literally, you don't, if you're sick, you get pulled up by the manager. If you get a toilet break, you get pulled up by a manager. If you take 2 minutes after call work, or you're on a call too long for like with a customer, but then they're always talking about customers being first, so you don't really know what you're doing. But the way I always describe it is, even the computer that you use, you type on it and it brings it up on the screen. That's what a call centre wants. They just want the same person to come in. They would be happy to replace everybody with a machine because they know it's going to get it done.
Exactly.
Instead of being sick or people having their own thoughts, they would rather, please look what your thoughts are. Like, you can't have your phone out. You need to wear certain clothes.
Yep.
You need it's to make you feel like you're the same as a person, to stop you having individual thoughts, which is dangerous, because what happens is you look back, and the thing that you've started to realise, obviously, when we first went for the first coffee after a few years of not kind of talking to each other, when I was telling you like what I've been doing, and you could see you had that the light bulb moment. You were like, I need to start doing that. It's like, you've realised that now, but imagine if somebody doesn't realise that until they're 75, when they're ready to retire. They can still do it, but they've got such a small period of time to do it in. Or they pass away when they're 95, and they realise it when they're when the day before they pass away, oh, I should have went and done this instead. But I decided just to work my whole life in a call centre.
Mm.
It's such a silly concept for people. Like we're literally not here forever anyway.
We
It's
aren't exactly.
what does it matter if you fail? It's who's going to judge you? Nobody. You're not like nobody's going to. When you're gone, you're gone. There's nobody that's going to judge you after. Well, you never know, but there's nobody that's going to like prod you. Like, look what you done. You should have went to that good call centre job. Like I told
I,
you today.
without trying to sound morbid, it's not like they're gonna poke a stick at a dead man, you know.
Oh, you never know. Depends how this virus turns out. Man. See what I've noticed a lot with this virus now is see a lot like a lot of businesses have been because the government's offering that kind of loan for businesses, so I don't need to take it. I'm just working harder.
Hmm.
So this is me again being hard headed. I'm like, why would I want to take a loan to get myself into more debt when I could just pivot my business? So I've pivoted more into doing my podcast and stuff,
Hmm.
and more into doing like just online consultancy.
Uh-huh.
So it's like a boxing match. You don't just go in there and throw 1-2 like the left right consistently. You need to pivot out the way. You need to duck, dive. You need to get moving. You're going to take a couple of hits, but you just need to keep the movement going.
Hmm.
So like a lot of businesses are going, oh, it's a loan. It's not good enough. I need more help. And then when they're like, who's going to help me? And it's like, well, you are a business owner. There's nobody to help you. You are the person that
Yep.
everybody relies on.
All right.
Like you wanted to sail your own ship out in the sea. You wanted to be the top man. Well, you're the person that's reliable. It's not for like the government to pay your bills. It's not for people to cover your back. It's your responsibility.
Oh, definitely, and it is quite interesting that as well. How the government are paying a lot of obviously not just businesses, but a lot of people who like myself with the job kind of situation whereby jobs are out and you need to kind of rely on. I hate that word rely, but you have for guys like within the creative industry, it's a lot more challenging now than before. But yeah, going back to just with jobs and the government taking care of people, their people's situation for like up to they say a certain percentage. You probably know that as well. But people are spending a lot more time doing complaining, saying they're bored, and I'm wondering why is it that you're bored? Um, you moan every single day, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. You say, "Oh, I've got to go to work again this week. I wish I didn't have to go to work." And now everyone's prayers are being answered, and and they don't need to go to work. They're getting paid, yet no one's doing anything. They're not learning anything new. They're not pursuing any goals or whatever. Instead, it's more everyone's spending more time. Nothing wrong with with the messaging, but they're just messaging for the sake of messaging of passing time instead of using that time sensibly. Read a book, write a book. A lot of online websites have training that you can improve your whatever skills you want to improve. Even learn about some. I don't know how photography is going to help when you're stuck inside, but learn about how to like use some photographic software, something like that. Just anything that can essentially, if you want to, for those people who are wanting to change their career path, these are these moments right now, like these next couple of months or however long we have. This is the time to do it because we have no pressure. We have all the time we can ask for, and I'm just like you. There are times when I'm up like at 4:30 in the morning, if not six o'clock in the morning, doing some exercises, and then kind of like basically get on the laptop, work away at at the music or whatever little project I'm working on, just trying make as much more time for that, instead of simply moaning that, oh, it's so boring, there's nothing to do. I wish I could watch football, or I wish I could, just basically just not wanting to wish for things where you basically isn't going to help you improve, instead of spending all the time. I mean, I know I'm guilty of it sometimes as well, man. I would watch a show. Recently I've started watching a few shows, but I try to impress upon myself to make sure I only watch like 1 hour, and that's like night just before I go to bed, so that the rest of my day I can spend actually actively doing something, progressing on a project,
Yeah, man. See people that just now are saying that are bored. It's like why are you? So the thing that I think people are saying that they're bored for is because they've realised how much of a con that their job is, and that takes up most of their time to then leave them such a little amount of free time to squeeze in, going to the gym, spending time with their kids and their family, seeing friends, going on holiday, buying the stuff that they need to buy, going to the shops. It leaves them like an insanely amount of small time to to do stuff that makes them happy, and they have a large period of time that they're at something they don't like. But also, all these people, like, we've been in lockdown for how 2 weeks now, 3 weeks, whatever it is. I'm not
I
bored. I've read 3 books. I've been podcasting. My business is still going. I've been playing with my kids more. I've actually been finishing work early. I've got me onto a better pattern. I've been playing some video games again, like streaming them online so people can watch me and stuff like that.
hmm
Um, I've got, like, this week I'm doing this crazy challenge. I'm trying to do like 1,000 push-ups, 1,000 sit-ups, and 1,000 squats. I've gave myself 5 days to finish them all,
that's a
which is
crazy challenge indeed.
2 days is to finish each 1,000. I finished the push-ups today, and I can barely pick my arms up now. But like, I'm challenged. I'm still doing the same stuff that I want to do. I'm trying to challenge myself. Like I said, I'm reading books and spending more time with my family. I mean, this is great. Like, the universe has kind of gave me the option to it's that hit the pause button for a bit. Like, you can still do your work and stuff like that, but I need you to round your work up for 12 o'clock and spend some time with the family, or like between 9 and 12 is when you're going to teach your kids, and you're going to get them some lunch, and then you can sit down and do some emails, and then that's the rest of the day over. It's given me so much, like, a perspective on what's important in life as well. And I think this is the universe telling everybody, look, just give it a rest, because things were costing far too much. Like, a concert ticket, average concert ticket at like the Hydro in Glasgow is £50 to £60, and that's like a cheap ticket.
Mm.
That's far too much for an average band at most, genuinely, that would have backing tracks, and they're not kind of like they're lip syncing, or they're not kind of putting on the best show.
hmm
So like, it's a silly thing, but it's like the universe is kind of resetting time a little bit, and just letting people know, look, like you need to rest, you need to relax, you need to start spending more time with your family, because it's not going to be here forever. And don't go to a shitty job, follow your dream, try and set up your own business. No, you might set up a business fucking drawing cartoon faces, but you don't want to do that, but it makes you £100 a month, then you've got £100, then you just start to supplement your income with different kind of things.
hmm
And it's just something that people do. Every time I see somebody says that they're bored, I'm like, how? What are you doing? Like, I've got so much stuff that I'm doing. I've literally got that much stuff. I don't have enough time in the day, even though everybody's in the house for the like lockdown. I'm like, I don't know how you are bored. There's so much to do.
No, I understand. I understand perfectly where you're coming from, man. I'm the same. The annoying thing with me, as you probably might know now, is that um I can, I'm able to work with different projects, but I haven't stuck with just the one, because the one of the other projects I like to work with is kind of make like little videos, right? But obviously I try to use both, because as you know, you gave me the good the good sort of idea of using, jingles, and I've been trying to find a way to, give my jingles wings. So I'm kind of, and remember we spoke about obviously podcasting, and it got me thinking about books and all, those stuff. Remember when we were at we were having coffee, and you mentioned you can basically take one of those books and just kind of create your own kind of version of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of paraphrasing there, but the point is, um, with the projects, doing, that kind of little podcasting, and kind of like get the music as well, is like, and the jingle that you sort of gave me the idea of, is that whilst I'm trying to like do the podcasting, you try to do the audio side of things, then you have to like create the visual content, and then I basically I would add my jingles, or I would make a beat and then just use that as the background sort of audio for it. It kind of gets me going in like a few different directions, where I think to myself, how the hell do people do this kind of stuff, But yeah, it kind of gets you thinking, how is it people are bored when, obviously for someone like me or someone like you, where you have several different things going at the same time, you can never, it's as if the time is flying way too quickly, you think, how is it possible, there is not enough time for to do all of this stuff, yet people who don't have a single thing to focus on are saying they're bored, when they could easily pick one of those things we just mentioned there, or like you said, pick up, read 3 books, 5 books, set up a challenge. And that's what I love. That is something I really love, is that I remember when I was before the this what do you call this virus again? I prefer your terminology of it.
Man, I totally forgot what I called it.
Well, anyway,
Now when somebody says, like, oh, what do you call that? And then it just goes out your brain. The Forsaken virus, that's what I call it.
that's the Forsaken virus, yeah. So before this Forsaken virus came in and hit us all, I was speaking to one of my colleagues at work, and I said to him, I said, what is it you guys like? He normally comes to my like, basically this guy doesn't work for a few days in a week, right? And those few days he's off, he doesn't make the most use of it, from my perspective. Like, he spends the majority of his time off at the shop that he works at, and that does not compute with me. My mind is like, what the fuck are you doing, mate? Like, you're not getting paid, so don't fucking come in. You've been, you're not getting paid to come in. Don't come in and waste your time. Basically, I know you're probably bored or whatever, but go and find projects. But basically, what I'm trying to say is that he got me he got me thinking about the fact that, for me and guys like you as well, obviously, since I got to know you and know about the projects you've been doing, it gets me into the mindset where, when I do these little projects, like, even if I might not be focusing on like music this today, or and focus on a different little project that tomorrow. The fact that I know I have like something to be doing, I don't think of the times I'm off, as boring. I don't think of them as, basically what I'm saying, I don't count the days until I can get back into work. I just normally wake up and go, oh, I need to work tomorrow. Great. Okay, I need to work next week, but I don't even notice it. Next week comes and I'm like, the week is flown in. But this guy, he has like several days off, and he doesn't take it. He comes in, and I say to him, like, why don't you find something, like, find a project to do? Find something to be doing that can at least keep you occupied, to the point where you don't need to come into a place of him, where, I know he's a supervisor, but I mean, come on, people, you must have life outside of work, and that's something, is if I hadn't met you, I don't think I would have got, at least put my foot down on working on different projects, even though I know within myself I need to focus on one, but at the same time, the one kind of encompasses like a multiple areas. But yeah, if I hadn't come across, being invited to have coffee with you, and have us sit down, and you tell me about those little things, and basically giving me that motivation to say, well, if Barry can do it, and I've known him for, the two of us are not, we're not nothing special. If he can do it, then I can find my own lane to kind of, emulate and try and create my own little lane. And I thought, you know what, I might as well just, at least try to give this guy some ideas as to, something he could maybe be doing with his time other than wasting it, spending hours, 2 hours, 3 hours. It doesn't matter however long or short. The fact that you're not spending it on something that is going to benefit you is something I find so frustrating when I speak to people now as well. When I see them at work, my colleagues, I speak to them and I hear what they do with their free time, and 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 it just gets me annoyed. And I've said to them, this is this is something I've said to them quite openly, but I said I said respectfully, I don't want us to get into petty conversations. The conversations that constantly go on about talking about what someone wore, or what's how someone is something just petty. Like, just talk about projects. Let's talk about ideas. And I told him, I said, if you want to have a conversation with me, let's have a conversation about ideas, and maybe whether the idea helps me or you, the fact that we're having discussions about ideas is more beneficial to both of us than simply, trying to bring someone down. It doesn't help anyone, especially if it's to do with the colleagues at work, where you're constantly having to bicker about how this colleague was that way, or that colleague was that way. It doesn't help anyone, and ultimately the company doesn't care about any of us. you
Yeah,
know
man, it's a weird scenario to be in, especially just the way I always look at it is, see, like, time. Time is like one of so you're saying that guy comes into your work, he's spending, to say you get every day somebody give you £24, and that £24 is enough to get you through the day. But
Basically.
then you have to spend say 8 hours in sleep to make sure that your immune system and stuff's like great, especially just now with what's going around. So you need that
Mm,
immune system to be great. So you need to get that 8 hours in. Then you need to spend an hour and a half exercising. So then that's you down to, like, maths has failed me, whatever it is. But then you need to spend some time, say 2 hours with family or friends.
mm,
Then then that guy's spending an extra 2-3 hours on his day off that he's saved up for his family and friends, and a job that he might not want to be at, just because he's got nothing else to do. So
mm.
if you think about it, he's wasting money, he's wasting his time to go somewhere that he really might not enjoy, which is silly. I just think time is like, you're never going to get it back once you've spent it.
Definitely not. And you get when you start thinking about time in that sense as well, you start to actually calculate, or you take into consideration your traveling time as well, and that is a big thing as well.
Yeah,
You
but
know.
it's everything needs to be taken into consideration, because people forget, like, the travelling time to and from the job that you don't want to be at, the time that you end up going in with petty conversations, if a job that you don't want to be at, and people you don't want to speak about, like if I give somebody like an hour or 2 hours of my time, like, I think that is the most important thing in the world. Like, if I give somebody some of my time,
Hmm.
that means, like, I'm setting time to speak to you. Like, I'm not like, I'm giving you my time. There's nobody else that's going to take me away from that time. Those hours are blocked out to chat to the person that's right in front of me, or to go for a beer or whatever it is. That's the I think that's the most important gift you can give somebody, is giving them the time. But a lot of people just forget. Like a lot of people forget, especially just now as well. Like, my kids are loving spending more time with me.
Hmm.
People forget, like, that's what humans want. The basic, just to spend some time with people they love. They don't need silly toys and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's cool to get them that kind of stuff every now and again, but
Hmm.
most of the time they just want to spend time with you. That's the most important thing. And people who don't appreciate time, like, who really don't really, like you were saying, think about what they're using their time for.
Hmm.
I like to use my time to spend with people that I care about, do something that I love doing every day, getting enough sleep, getting exercise, and every day I try and either read some books or sit with a notepad. If I'm playing some like video games, I'll sit with a notepad to come up with some ideas because it helps me take my mind off things. But like time is so important to me that if somebody wastes my time, I get so annoyed with it. So see if I'm going somewhere and then
Mhm.
somebody is like last minute doesn't turn up, or they're maybe like 2 hours late.
Aye.
I it's like there's just no point in coming if you're going to be like 2 hours late. I it means so much to me to give up my time for somebody, and when
And
they're
no,
late, I'm just like, you could have just left it.
and knowing you, you probably won't rage. You probably do some sort of internal rage and go to the wrestling and just take it out that way. But you would never, as far as I can remember, you would never pull someone up and just yell at
No,
them and
man,
say,
I just don't. I don't. If somebody's 2 hours, like I give people like a courtesy 20 minutes,
aye,
and if they're not there in 20 minutes, I just leave
aye,
because
but
like I've got so much other stuff to do, and then I'll say to them, then if somebody goes, "Oh, I went and you weren't there," I just write back late. That's like, as in you should understand that you were late because I says 1 o'clock. You were there at 1:30. That's late.
aye.
That's no.
And I love the fact that when the way you deal with those types of things, I've kind of noticed that as well as in terms of going forward with looking at my time, and it's to do with obviously how when something is past, there's like obviously the saying goes, there's no point in crying over spilt milk. But when something is past, there's no point in chasing someone down again and say, listen, you were late. Like for example, I was see, normally the car we use is a family car. I just share it because I have no need for a car, right? So I just normally use it when I need to go somewhere quite far briefly because most of my business is in town or in the house basically, right? So I don't have any use for a car. And there was this one time I was going to a mechanic, and this mechanic, I don't know if he did it willfully, but he, after, like, I think it was a spare tire. Yeah, it was a spare tire that needed to be changed. But the way they changed it and the way they sort of fixed it, or rather, they tried to do some mechanical correction uh, to the vehicle.
Mhm.
They slightly damaged it, so one of the sensors, and I know I should be pissed, but the fact is we got the car fixed, and I was being told to go back, by a family. They were telling me to go back to the mechanic to tell them, listen, you fucked up my car, you got me to have to go and pay for it, and I'm thinking, it's done, it's past. I know for a fact now, if we ever need to fix the car again, we'll never use that mechanic again.
Yeah, but it's like that as well. It's once it's done, it's done.
That's what I'm saying.
There's no
You
there's
can't.
no
You
point in, like, for instance, for me when my mum passed away and I ended up homeless, it's done. Like when people always go, "I'm sorry to hear that," I'm like, well, why are you sorry? It's finished. Like
I,
like it's not going to change. It's not going to make me feel better that you feel sorry now. I'm
I,
I'm over it. I'm okay.
if anything, it will just make you more pissed off that someone is bringing it up. And in my situation, it makes no difference to me that, okay, the guy, even if I go back and say to him, listen, mate, you fucked up my car. What are you gonna do about it? He's like, well, I just fucked it up. I'm sorry. So I really don't care for the sorry. I don't care for any of the,
Yeah, he says
you know.
sorry and fixes it. It's like, but does it matter?
No, but what I'm saying is, we got it fixed by a different mechanic. A different mechanic spotted it and said, because obviously we were having this, it was coming. It wasn't anything serious,
Like,
and we got it fixed anyway. And the point is, they were still pressing upon me to call this mechanic to say to him he fucked up our car, but we had to go and get it fixed by a different mechanic. But it doesn't. It's not worth going back to, and that's the point I'm trying to make, is that little things that have annoyed you, or obviously, like you said, someone was late. There's no need to pull them up all the time and say, look, you caused me to waste so much time. It doesn't make it. It's not worth it. Time is far too precious to be idling it over something that's already done. You know.
yeah, man. I think honestly, it's one of the most precious commodities that we have in life because you're never going to get it back, and like you never know what's going to happen with the future's time, so you never know how much you've got, and you never know, or you can never get anything back, and you never know how much you've got left to spend.
I
So it's a it's a constant. You could be down to your last 2 hours, and you you don't know that yet,
you don't know.
which is hopefully not. But it's just like one of those things that like people don't realize. Like it's such a precious thing is to like give up like some time, and like you were saying that you got it fixed somewhere else. Is there any really need to call somebody and then they say sorry and then you just like thanks for saying sorry, it's already fixed. Bye.
Hi.
Like it's I don't know, waste of 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes trying to explain to the guy and then him trying to remember it, and it's like
Exactly.
just forget it. I think it's
You
such a
know,
it's just so silly like how people forget how important time is, especially with what I feel as well is people that are that do have like normal jobs and stuff. They take time for totally for granted. It's
mhm.
like, oh, I'll just leave it till Monday. Well,
Aye.
why leave it to like today? I was having a consultation call with a new kind of customer, and they were like, "Oh, I'll leave it till Monday to get like the Facebook stuff sorted out."
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "Well, why leave it till Monday? It's Tuesday. Monday was yesterday. You just start it today." And the guy was, because I was telling him what to post. Like he wasn't even coming on. It was like a courtesy consultation, so I gave him it for free, part of
Uh-huh.
the COVID-19 health kind of scheme that I've got.
Mhm.
And he was like, I'll leave it till Monday. And I was like, but today's Tuesday. Why are you waiting till Monday? It's like saying you're going to start the gym on Monday. You could just start on Tuesday. It doesn't matter. But if it's Saturday and you want to, if you feel like working out, work out. Don't wait till Monday.
Mm.
It's people just time is like such it's a thing that I could literally write a book about time because it's so weird to see how people waste it. And I think what gave me like a poor issue with time is obviously watching my mum for like those 18 years
Mhm.
get really sick, unwell, and realising like I only knew my mum. I've what? Yeah, I've known my mum for 18 years, but I'm nearly at the point where I've been alive longer than I knew my mum.
Aye.
So it's like such a precious thing, especially that. Like you, well, I can't really remember what it was like growing up with my mum. I remember it, I've been there, but like now I don't really because I've got my own kids, I've got my own life,
Mhm.
and it's like that. That's another part of like there's no really legacy left. It's only me that really remembers her,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
then like that's how important time is. If you can spend your time to build a legacy, you're going to leave something behind that people are going to remember for forever as well, and also you're going to have spent your time wisely instead of from just wasting it. Obviously, my mum was sick and stuff like that, but still, she could have done things that would have left something behind, would have left like maybe something better to kind of change what was going on. But obviously, looking back in the past, like you said, you can't change it.
Mhm.
But I just when people don't take time seriously, it really gets to me. I think when you see people like talking about sitting saying that they're bored,
Aye.
it's like you literally have 24 hours, less than 24 hours, because you sleep 8, and so you got 16 hours, and you're saying that you're bored. Why are you bored? The- if you read a book in those 16 hours you're awake, and you read a book for the whole 16 hours, you could probably finish it, depending the size of the book,
You
and
know,
you'll learn something.
it's funny you mentioned that. I don't know if I mentioned this to you. There's a book called Proust and the Squid, and it was basically about obviously how when you read, like when we read, and I had this discussion with Joe, Zenga, and
Oh,
we had a when he came over for like a couple of hours, we spent just having this serious discussion. It was a really good discussion about obviously how modern technology, how obviously like TV or movies basically how they compare to books, and it's not to do with like a book being or a novel being turned into a film, but it's how the information that we process is a lot different using those two different methods. But my argument was that I rated books much higher than I rated television or screen content. All like in terms of constantly spending all that time on it,
Hmm.
is because, all right, fair enough. Like I was saying to him, like growing up, I never understood the reasons why um parents would tell us to go to bed at like 10 in the evening, 10 at night, or watch, or when the government used to say to you, not us, but like for like our parents and all that, grandparents, they used to sort of have like a TV watershed, but mainly they would advise you spend 1 hour watching TV or watching some sort of screen content. And as I got older, I started to realize that, yeah, when you spend time reading something, like as in when you devote your time to it, not just on a screen, but as in in a physical sort of a physical book, where you
Hmm.
can feel the texture, it it, it alters the formation of your brain. Like your brain, it actually changes its structure just from reading, you know, and that kind of like it kind of bugged me out a little bit. I must admit, like I didn't realize how much just simply reading a book can can cause you to not just become more creative, which is bizarre, but because of the fact that your brain is more active, the shape of your brain, your neurons are connecting in a different way, far more, because obviously it's being more active than simply just taking in like easy content or easier form of content, than having to be more active mentally. And I just get annoyed sometimes when I moved into my new flat. I remember my parents were saying to me, "Oh, are you going to get a TV?" And I'm like, "Why do I need a TV?" They're like, "Well, just to make your house, your flat feel more accommodating or whatever." And I'm like, I don't plan on having many people over anyway. you know, I'd rather just have my own space where I can come home, relax. I have books, and the reason I said to them I didn't want a TV was because I wanted to be able to be motivated enough to actually read something during times when I felt as if I didn't have anything to be doing with my time, instead of simply putting on a TV screen and just blanking out for like the next 6 or 7 hours, and and they never understood that. And we got to a stage, but where basically they said to me, if you don't get a TV, we'll buy you a TV. And I said to them flat out, like, no, I don't want a TV. Like, I know you guys have some extra cash. You might be feeling like you want to spend, but why don't you take that money and save it and invest it maybe, instead of putting money towards a TV that, because I mean, think about those kind of stuff as well. Like spending all that money on those types of gadgets that, as soon as you buy them, people spend like ridiculous amount of money on a TV or something that is they're gonna just forget about. Well, maybe not forget about a TV, but it's not gonna make their lives any better. It's not gonna make them go, oh, I kind of want to maybe become a creative person, or whatever. But you kind of it just wastes your time. And that, what you were saying, it goes back to time. What you're saying about time, how as soon as you buy a TV, it's like you saying to some sort of some guy, some random guy, say to them, you say, mate, I don't have anything I'm doing with my life. Why don't I just give you my time for you to waste? It's like inviting someone to come into your life to waste your time, like intentionally. And then after several years, you say to yourself, why the fuck did I do that? You know?
I totally get where you're coming from. It's as well. See, like technology can be either a hindrance or it can help improve your life. So, like for instance, TVs or PlayStation, phone, whatever it is, it can either be a hindrance to you or help improve your life. So, a time maybe for me, especially, I'll sit and play a video game. I'll have a notepad next to me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, During that time is when I come up with my best ideas because I think I've got like ADHD or something. Like that. I need to focus on something else to think.
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally
Um,
understand that.
that's it. But a lot of people will literally, even if I'm watching Netflix, I'm on the phone and going through Google. I'm looking at marketing techniques. I'm looking at you know, art projects or new ideas that I can get to build new businesses or bring it into the business I've already got. I'm
Mm.
doing while something's on the TV,
Uh-huh.
and it gives me that time when I can sit and relax and watch something, but I'm also doing work as well. And what people don't do is they will sit and watch a whole Netflix series and they'll just lay there in bed. They won't be on their phone doing anything else. They won't be thinking about ideas.
Nope.
It'll just be they'll be totally like I don't think I've had a totally zoned out time in my brain since I was 7. I don't
Wow.
like I don't remember like I always remember working, trying to sell something, trying to make some money. I remember going in the ice cream van getting um £50 pick a mix
Hmm.
and selling each one for 2 pence. So then I would make 50 pence, and then at the end of the night I would go back and get two 50 pence pick a mix because I made my 50 pence back plus then I made an extra 50. So I
Hmm.
would go back and get two. So for investing 50 pence, I made 50 back, and I got two things I wanted. Ever since like a young age, I've always done that. I remember having toys that I didn't want, so I'd put in the bin. I would sell them. I would go around chap doors to clean shoes. It's always just been a consistent. How am I going to better my life, and how am I going to do something that I find fun? Like at age 11, I didn't want to clean shoes, but it's fun to say that I was cleaning shoes and making money now. But back then, something in me was like, okay, you need to do this. I mostly spent most of that money on like buying toys and like new football tops and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But it's the spending my time to get something that I want to have that stuck me to this day. Especially when you see people that they'll go to a normal job, right? They'll give up all that time in their life. It's like I think it's only like 34 hours a week they give up, right? But if you add sleep on top of that as well, and then you add gym time, family time, having time to actually relax and build your immune system and build your mind back up. Because after working in a call centre, you do need some time to relax. And they just don't get any of that. They just kind of forget that they're giving all this time up to a job, a place that they hate. And like you were saying about TV yourself, like I know you always say that you don't have one.
Hmm.
Like there was a period in my life that I didn't. I stayed in this terrible studio flat that was just like a one room that had like a fake wall. They're like those cardboard walls that you get.
Uh,
Down the middle, one side had like a sofa bed on it, and the other side had like a gas cooker and a sink. That if you turned the sink on and the gas would go on as well. So it was like this terrible, and it cost me like £350 a month. I don't even know why I done it, but it was just when I was coming out for being homeless. I didn't have a TV or anything like that, and I was there for about a year, maybe just over a year.
mm,
All I done every single day was work out, go for a run, and read books. If it was snowing, windy, rainy, no matter what it was, read books, work out, and I used to eat kind of coca noodles, just ready noodles, and that was it. That's all I used to eat. There was nothing else I used to do. Christmas, I don't have any family. I didn't celebrate Christmas. I got up, I exercised, I read a book. But I done that, and then I started college. Well, I was still at college at the time, kind of. Um, and then I was kind of got myself into a better house, but it was the same. I didn't have a TV. I didn't actually have a carpet or anything. I just slept on sheets that were on the ground. I just slept there, and that was it until I could afford a bed, until I could afford a like carpets and stuff like that to make it more homely.
mm,
But it was always like I invested some amount of time to get there, and then eventually all that hardship has led me to the point now that I run a business, I have a team behind me, I can sit here and talk to you in a podcast. I've got two kids. I'm at a successful place. And then again, that comes another aspect of time when you get to a successful place. When you want to push further, you're comfortable.
Mm.
so it's harder to push. But I always put myself. That's why I got up at 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning. That's why I always push myself with challenges. Is always put myself into a point of discomfort. I hate being comfortable.
Mm.
Like if you're in your bed in the morning and you wake up, and you're up now that way, get all nice and warm.
Mm.
First thing I do is take the cover off me. You get that cold air that hits you. Comfortable literally kills people. Uncomfort is a way to. I love being uncomfortable. Like I always say to you, people like to set up a business and treat it like a job. Or people like to follow their passion and just treat it like a 9 to 5. Like I love the shit. I love the terrible parts of it. Failing, clients leaving, people phoning you, businesses getting shut down. I love the terrible part of your business. That's what I love. The the shit part of running a business. That's my where you find me. You
I
find me at the bottom of the ship, try to put planks of wood to stop the fucking water coming in.
I no, definitely, man. I've having got to know you, I can see that. I can definitely see that.
Talking
And
about quotes, one of the best quotes, I think you'll love this one as well, is a life is well lived is long enough. It's just a quote that a guy sent me over today.
uh-huh.
I don't know who it's from, but life is well lived is long enough, which I think is great. Because if you think about it, if you, for instance, if you're doing your music, maybe you start like a little football team as well to help people out and things like that, and then something, touch wood, it doesn't happen, but something bad happens when you're 35 or 40.
Mm.
You've lived a great life. You feel comfortable in what you've done. You've done your music. You've done everything you're doing. You're happy. If something happens when you're younger, at least you were happy. At least somebody can always look back and go, at least he's happy. At least
Uh,
he done something he's loved. He followed his dreams and he was happy doing it. Even though, like, if you're like me, people look back and go, he worked too much and he was a psycho pretty much. Nobody should humanly possible function on the level this guy functions on.
it was a quiet cycle. No one could tell he was a psycho, but it was a cycle.
But I've worked 20 hours a day for a long, long, long time. So probably since before I met you, so about 18 years, it's been
Oh,
20 hours a day. Recently this year I've started taking it a lot less, but it's been like a constant grind, and I'm getting to a point where I'm going to, there's some big things coming at the end of the year, man. What I'm excited for you to see as well.
I can't wait to see it.
So obviously like you're saying you've got your music and stuff like that going, and
Mhm.
you've sent me over a link. That link I'm going to put in the description as well. Um, but see, like that kind of stuff you were saying about your jingles, your your music, you had Joe over and things like that. Are you guys working together to make stuff? Or?
Aye, we are. We've well, is he just a little shout out to Zenga the Titan. That's his handle on Insta, I think. But basically, yeah, he a lot of we've been making some beats together. Like I think he's used at least three of my beats, and he's got like a different other beats that he's managed to get from other guys. But basically, he comes over to my place, as I showed you the mic earlier on.
Mhm.
Um, he comes over to my place and we just record. I'm basically his mixing engineer. Um, so like he records over the beats, and we exchange ideas back and forth. Wherever I feel I can add something beyond the sort of technical, the audio, like beyond mixing it or beyond doing my own thing after he's been recording. If I can add something to his lyrics, then I can probably, maybe tell him, oh, listen, I think your initial flow was better than the second take we did, or maybe if you shorten this, this word and maybe find a different word, it can ring better, on the beat. That kind of stuff is what we've been working on a lot as well. And we do actually have about 14, believe it or not, Barrett, we have 14 14 tracks done already.
That's really cool, man. Especially, I can't wait to listen to them because anybody who follows my Instagram or Facebook will know that everything Joe posts, I
Uh-huh.
share. Um, I listen to his music all the time. I actually tell people to go listen to his music.
Uh-huh.
Um, Same with yourself, but I consistently forget. what your name is on YouTube. I'll
uh,
remember now because I've got the link now. I can actually tell people.
I know it's okay. I honestly, mate, I have like the stuff. Some of the beats we've been using, I haven't posted them yet because I don't want them to be exposed. You know, like I don't want to release them before Joe's tracks were released because, like I said, we are using some of these beats.
Hmm.
So I wanted his uh his version, like his take on it, to be the first to to come out to the world. And obviously, most of the stuff, like I said, I mix his stuff, and he has someone else who masters it for him. Um, so we're basically, well, I am. All I do is obviously, like as I explained, but I'm in a way kind of waiting for. I'm excited to hear what his mastering engineer has done with all the other 14 beats we've been working on, and he's
Hmm.
got a lot more. But there's this one particular beat. I think I don't know if I can send that to you. I don't know if Joe would be happy about it, but it's a really good beat. I loved it. Like I did a this is I did a little intro to it. I was just messing about on the mic, and he was like, "Yo, let's keep that take." So we kept that take. But yeah, I think you'll like that one. It's quite a chill beat. I didn't make the beat, but I obviously, like I said, I helped to mix it, and I was messing about with the intro, and it was overall a really sweet beat, a really sweet beat.
Yeah, man. I think see, especially the passion that you have in your voice as well when you're speaking about music,
Hmm.
something that most people don't find in their life as well. So now,
Hmm.
like just there when you're speaking about working with Joe about the kind of he's having 14 tracks and different beats and stuff like that. The passion you can already hear that you could. It's such a cool thing to have in your life. Like a lot of people don't even like. For instance, you were saying about football earlier.
Hmm.
If that was the only passion you had in your life, just think you would have stopped football a few years ago, and then what would you have done? You did.
Honestly, I don't know. Just moan about how football in Scotland is shit.
What could have been
I basically, basically.
the old times.
I and then that would have been me for fucking every single day of my life until I kicked the bucket, so to speak. Just thinking about what could have been. Instead of obviously finding a different lane, a different passion. And like with music, I've always enjoyed music. I've always liked it, and I'm not gonna lie. It's and say it's all straightforward and easy, but it's frustrating at times when you spend like weeks, every like late nights making a beat just for someone to say, it's okay, it's a decent beat up. It kind of tears your hair, it causes you to tear your hair out because you're like, what the fuck? I I spent all this fucking time for you just for you to say it's okay. You're like, what the
You
you
thought
know?
you've composed the next great track, and somebody, it's all right, This has been weeks in the making. My fingers are bleeding. You say it's okay.
I've lost sleep. I've gone, I've watched hours of different tutorials, kind of like learn how to do this, spending forever to kind of tweak this little section, this little this I don't even know how to like this EQ or whatever I can, virtual instrument and whatever I can, software you can use, but you spend forever to kind of tweak it, to kind of make it sound exactly how you want it, and then, but my point is that, yeah, it's not been a straightforward sort of route to get to get me to be making music, but it's when I realized that I was doing construction for a bit as well in between. Um, but I realized that yeah, I kind of really like music, so I had some spare I had some spare cash, like, and I thought I might as well just buy those instruments and just play about with it, see what I can, see how I can mess about with it. Just watch a few videos and see how I can, just mess about with it, see what happens, and and slowly I'm learning that it's not always as easy as it looks, but it's rewarding when at the end of the like literally when you hear, excuse me, but see once you hear the idea come to life, after you've heard it in your head, and you spent hours in front of that computer just getting it to exactly how you heard it in your head. It's like the weight of the world is sort of fell off your shoulder. You feel so fucking relieved. Like you're like you can. It's like a big sigh of relief, but it's that kind of feeling where you're like, I've done it. It's complete, and it sounds fucking awesome. I don't care what other people think, but this was what I had in my head, and now it's here in the world. It's like it's such a it's a wonderful feeling, and yeah, it's not easy to kind of like basically get into something different beyond what was for me. I would say that playing football was something I did quite naturally, but the transition to go from that to something that is way more technical in terms of using my fingers instead of my feet, it was a big difference, and it kind of took me a while, but eventually I realized that, yeah, I'm a creative person when I'm playing football. So I thought to myself, let me see if I can apply that creativity to a different area, to something I had more control over, and not to say, again, I'm not bashing any team or organized kind of activity, because obviously I work in a team with Joe, when we're vibing together, he kind of feeds off of my energy and I feed off his energy, and and that way. But obviously with making the beat in itself, it's kind of like, it's something I can be purely creative with, and almost have full scope to do almost whatever I want. And it's good. It's good to feel that you can connect with someone else, and using just through your own creativity and your own um, efforts, you can then see something that is long lasting, and someone else comes in and says, someone who actually understands it, and say, yeah, look, this is, I can vibe with that. And that's what I get with Joe as well. Like when I sit with him, and we normally just spark up, so a few blunts or whatever, and and we just sit there chatting away for a while, and then we start making a beat, and he's wanting to go all night. And there are times when we end up like spending, honestly, but we spend like 6 hours sometimes just recording, like take after take, chopping and changing this beat, like adding something here, adding something there, and after a while you're like, dude, we've been doing this for like the last 5 hours, mate. I'm like, where the hell did the time go?
But see, when you're doing something that you love that you're doing, the time just like flies by.
Honestly.
You like sometimes you do something, and I thought about earlier that you're like, oh, sometimes this doesn't feel like I should be doing this. Maybe I should get like a normal job or a mad silly one that everybody else has got normal jobs. But then times like that, when you sit there for 5 hours doing something that you want, you look at the clock and you're like, how the hell is it like 2:30 in the morning? What happened?
Honestly, that is it. That is definitely the feeling, and I swear, there's nothing beats that. I know. Obviously, when you're starting off, for me anyway, like in the music industry, it's like the hardest thing ever. Like, it's so hard. It's such a grind that, to try and basically make a penny out of it. You need to grind and grind, but when you hear a beat, and obviously it's not going to get you paid right away. You're not going to be the next fucking Dr. Dre or Eminem or Kendrick Lamar, or you're not going to be any of those big guy, big name artists right away. But it's such a feeling. It's that there's this word, liberating. It feels so liberating that you can actually dream of something. You can dream of it, dream of a beat, or dream of a lyric, or an event that happened. Write it down or record it anyhow you want, any way you want, and then you see people vibing to it. You actually see people, they listen to it, and it just feels so satisfying, honestly. Like, I mean, this takes me back to when I did this is the only time I'm gonna mention it, but it took me back to when me and Joe have been hanging about for a long time, and he's been, a friend of mine for as long as I've known you, maybe even longer, about the same time. But yeah, when we went to this sort of like community event, and me and Joe just started like freestyling. We were rapping, freestyling, and you could just see everyone just come alive, and they just start vibing with you. Like, we're just making up shit, and they're just loving it. It feels so good to think that, that amazing feeling of creating something, and then just having people just just enjoying it like that and seeing how they react to it in that positive way is great. It's I don't know how to describe it beyond, obviously it gives me the same sensation or even more than when I sort of played football, because obviously now it's purely my own creativity and my own effort, and you can feel that you can feel the energy that people are feeling, that they kind of sense the type of energy you put into your beats and the amount of effort you put into it. Once you're around the type of crowd that can relate to that.
Yeah, man, especially talk about Joe and stuff like that in the back of the laptop that we're doing this on. I've got a Zenguli Titan sticker.
I've got one as well.
When I went to see him at the Tai Chi Novo, the tea house.
Yeah, that's right.
I went to see him up there. I remember him when he first came. I think it was first or second year. He first came to St. Rock's,
Uh-huh.
and I was one of the people who had to show him around the class because he was in my class.
Uh-huh.
I had to show him around the school, and I spoke to him ever since that day. So I think I've actually known him at the same amount of time as I've known you,
Aye.
or
So,
maybe like a couple of months difference or whatever it is.
uh-huh.
I remember always speaking to Joe. I don't remember a time in secondary, even yourself, like without your Joe, I don't remember not speaking to any of yous.
No,
Um, and it's
we I
weird to
uh-huh.
think like 17 years have passed for that, and then the three of us, like Joe's got to go on the podcast, you're on the podcast, you guys are still hanging around. The three of us are still trying to make things happen, and we've kind of been doing stuff to make it happen for the past 17 years, which is insane to say.
It is. Y- You know, what's even more insane was the fact that before, like, obviously you've known he's been making beats for a lot longer.
Mhm.
Not beats per se. I think he's only recently started to make some beats. Some of the, I'm sure you're gonna see obviously on his SoundCloud and on his Instagram, but some of those like his EP that he's releasing, some of the beats are ones he's made. Obviously, others, he's obviously got other guys he's got other guys to make those beats, including myself. But he's been rapping generally, like he's been performing a lot longer, and it's just amazing to see that he was performing a lot earlier before I could manage to get myself instruments to make beats, and then now I've got the instruments to make beats. He's over at my place and we're vibing in my tiny little shitty cupboard that I've managed to convert into a into a studio. And I mean, it's such a it is. I don't even it doesn't really ring to me. It doesn't register in my mind that it's been 17 years, and I think it's been like 15 years before I started making beats. So like 15 years ago, Joe was right. Like, because remember at school, we used to do like a poetry club. Like he had this creative writing class. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and him and I, we've been at that kind of stuff for a long time. Um, but yeah, like it's amazing to think more than 15 years, because obviously, like I said, 3 years ago I started, to kind of make beats. But like even at that point, obviously, Joe was going in a sort of different musical direction. But then now we're kind of, he's coming over to my place and we're making beats together, and I'm making beats that he can sort of vibe to. He's kind of connecting with, and it's so strange, because that's the thing about it as well. It's like I don't make the beats to satisfy, not generally speak, not always, but I don't make the beats to purely satisfy someone, like how someone else might view it. But I make the beat to satisfy, like I put my energy into it based on how I'm hearing the beat, not based on how I think people might want to hear the beat. Does that make sense?
Yeah, man, that totally makes sense. Especially the it's about how you enjoy it as well. Obviously, it'd be easy for you to go, okay, this is what everybody else likes,
Aye, exactly.
but making something that you want to listen to as well, so then you get the same people like you, so then you know what they're going to like, instead of from just picking a group of people that I'm going to make this type of music that my heart's not really in.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like when I started making those beats, and like I said, it was just as soon as Joe heard him, he like the the first time he came over, like literally, I mean, I moved into my new flat here 2 years ago, and when I introduced the last year Joe came over. I think it was about I think it was January last year. Like so, after I was a year old in my flat, I'm coming up for 3 years now. But after I was a year old in my flat, that's when Joe came over to my flat for the first time, and that was the first time we sort of really connected beyond, me going to his events. Like he came over and we recorded that very night, and he was vibing to pretty much most of my beats that I'd made at the time, and that kind of it just shows that sort of what I was trying to say as well with the about being able to like be as creative as you can and yet being able to have people connect with that, and that's kind of what I feel with Joe as well. When I make some of my beats, I don't try to make it to be like, oh, I think Joe might like this kind of beat. I make it, and then if he's feeling the same energy as I felt, you can tell instantly, he gets onto you get onto the same level as each other. And I think some of the thing about music as well, like sort of got me really to get into it as well, and try to keep, wanting me to keep going with it, especially now when obviously the forsaken virus, I think it is your terminology of it. uh, when this forsaken virus hits you and you think to yourself, yeah, best to probably have got a cushy job where you're making over 2 grand a month, and the government probably ends up paying you 1,800 or something like that, or 1,500. You're like, but yeah, no, I think that kind of stuff though is something I feel people should strive for, is to be able to say, right, okay, I might not be able to be making so much money, but if you're able to do something creative that you can get other people to vibe to, it might not even be music, it might not even be, it could be some sort of a cool design, or like like you're doing businesses, or you're doing things that make you happy, and ultimately the people who encounter it, it'll make them happy, like your quotes, the stuff you post online, and that kind of stuff. Obviously, it resonates, and I think there should be more of that, more of those kind of ideas as well, like to be able to encourage people to really dig deep and feel what actually what actually gets their body to that excites their body, like connect with themselves again, because we don't do that anymore. We don't even do it, not like anywhere near close to that. Schools don't even teach that. They just teach you how to wake up at 9, wake up at 7 in the morning, go to school, i.e. work, because that's the whole underlying pattern behind school and jobs, is that you wake up at the same time, you go to work and start work, or you start school at about the same times, and you come home about the same time as you do work, unless obviously you're for someone who's not in a self-employed or a business owner, you come home with at the usual time as a school sort of pattern as well, and it kind of is. It's frustrating, because people miss out on these kind of on those feelings of really knowing what it means to be alive. And I hope I'm not quoting any film or any sort of person, but you kind of do. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here, but
Yeah, man, I totally get what you're trying to say. I think you hit the nail on the head earlier when you said a word called liberation.
yeah.
The A great quote is, but the whole point of the whole point of liberation is that you get out,
Mm.
restructure your life, and act by yourself.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, is like to liberate yourself from that job. Like school is literally a job. It's the same time, and if
Aye.
you realise, all you do is you add an extra hour on. So like primary school you're into three,
Mm,
secondary school you're into like half three, quarter to four,
mm,
university you're into like half four, a job you're into say five, half five, maybe even six.
mm.
Then you're literally adding that extra hour onto your day just to get some pay, and then you go home, you live in an okay house on an okay street, doing okay things, when you could live in a shitty house with carpets you've had for 10 years that are ruined, no TV, no wallpaper, nothing, but you're doing something that you love. You're only making £600-700 a month, like not great money at all. You're able to get by on it.
Mm-hmm.
In 5 or 6 years, you end up you make one song, or you close one client, you draw one picture, and you make 70, 60 million. And that's just because you put 5, 6 years in to focusing on that one exact thing, and you've done that every single day. You've
Yep.
been passionate, dedicated, and that's what causes liberation. Anything that's happened to get freedom or anything is always caused by a fight, always caused by tough times. And that's what people forget as well. Like, people don't want to be that, it's back to that uncomfortableness. People don't want to be uncomfortable. People want that wee blanket around them and make themselves feel great.
Definitely, and I think you should actually make a quote of that. Adding liberation and fight together in a context of obviously
I've got a
of
whole thing, the whole thing tomorrow, man, about liberation, so you're going to love it. And there's a guy the guy that we know. I don't want to mention his name. We went for coffee with him.
uh
Do you know what I'm talking about?
yeah.
He gets to work from home now. So he obviously works in a call centre, but he's working
Yeah.
from home.
Uh
So he says it's great to work from home because he can wake up late,
aye.
he can do his job for 8 hours, and then go straight to his bed. So he's happy that he doesn't need to leave the house, and
Aye.
he's happy that he's got his terrible job in his house. And I'm like, that's like being in prison. Like, you don't get to leave the house, and you know what he's like. He literally won't leave his house unless he needs to get like some food.
Mm,
And
that's
I'm just like, it's the same thing. People are missing out in life. Like, we're 28 just now. Like,
aye.
if you tell somebody when they're 58 that you feel old, they're going to laugh in your face.
Aye.
And that's
Aye.
what like you and Joe making beats and stuff like that. You've got me. I'm interested. Like, I'm already there, ready to listen for it. So you don't need to worry about. I'll be like your one fan at your concert, just waving a wee flag, wearing all the merchandise, t-shirts and everything, hat, gold chains. Like, I don't even sell gold chains, by the way. What you doing? I've got gold chains here, man. Calm down.
Oh man.
But it's like you, like I love people who have creativity, people that are trying to do something different,
Mm,
and I'll help them as much as I can. So like if you or Joe ask me for something, I'm going to help you as much as I can. Mostly because I've known you for most of my life, but also because you guys are doing something different. If
mm.
other people that we went to school with, so there's people that we used to go to school with that I used to hang around with, that don't speak to me much anymore. So they've tried to, they're quite rude. That's a nice way to put it. But recently they've got let off from their job and they've asked me for a job, and I'm like, no, like I don't need people that are rude to me consistently.
Aye.
So it's like it's weird that how things come around. Like like I'm not going to help somebody who just wants a job to get paid. But
Mm.
like if like you're not going to turn around and go, oh, I need a job. You're going to be like, how do I figure this problem out? Okay, can we sit down and have like a half an hour conversation to figure a problem out? Like it's not, you're not asking for help. You're asking for a discussion to figure a problem, which
Aye.
is so much better than just going to somebody. Could you give me? It's like the old saying, teach a man to fish. He fishes forever, but give a man a fish he only eats for a day.
Aye.
People forget that that's literally a real saying for a reason.
Aye. You know, no, true. I'm see after this I'm gonna have to go, bud. But see the current U.S. president. I shall not name his name. Um, but I I kind of both regrettably I bought his book like when I was much younger. I bought one of his books and I threw it away because I felt it was rubbish. But when I look back at it, the one thing I can take away from that book was that he mentioned about setting aside an hour a day, whereby it's you call it a creative session. And I will never forget that because when I look back now, I wish I had taken into account the whole setting aside an hour a day, because what you just said there took me all the way back to that moment where you have a discussion as to how to solve a problem, and that kind of it makes me think that, yeah, if I to spend that hour or spend some time thinking about solving creatively solving a problem or coming up with some sort of anything to do with beyond basically doing a bit of self-analysis. I don't think we do any of that as a as a society, as individuals, mainly speaking, in the sense that it's only when we like Mike Pena says it, or not Mike Pena, Daniel Pena. You know who I'm talking about, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan Pena says it. I think he says it. It's either inspiration or the two things that causes people to change is either desperation or inspiration. You know, and that what you said about how the guy is coming to you for a job is because they're desperate. You know, that's why they end up sitting down with you to kind of like have the discussion about, or potentially having the discussion as to solving a problem, or if you're inspired, and you'd rather not be getting a position where you're desperate before you can think of a creative solution or do some self-analysis. You'd rather do some self-analysis through inspiration rather than being desperate to because you have no other choice. And I guess that's what I'd rather leave you with on this particular episode.
Yeah, man. I think that's going to be the best time to kind of round it up. Just realised we've been on here for an hour and 45. So what we'll do is I'm going to hit stop recording.
Yeah.
And then I'll have a quick chat with you and I'll let you get on, okay?
All right, cool.